How to crush doubt and build unshakable success. Because doubt isn't your destiny, it's the dragon you were born to slay. You're not here to cower in the shadows of fear, to let the world's whispers of, "you can't," dose your fire. You're here to rise like a storm, to carve your name into the fabric of history, to build an empire that defies the odds and echoes through generations. Picture a young boy named Jack Ma, a scrawny kid from Hangzhou, China, in the 1980s, his dreams mocked by a society that saw him as a failure waiting to happen. He failed his college entrance exams twice, scoring so low that his future seemed buried in the dirt of rejection. He applied for 30 jobs. 30. And was turned down by every single one, including a humiliating rejection from KFC, where 24 others were hired, but not him. His broken English was a punchline, his small stature a joke, but deep within his chest burned a fire no could extinguish. That fire would birth Alibaba, a colossus that reshaped global commerce, lifted millions from poverty, and made Jack Ma one of the richest men alive, with a net worth peaking at over $60 billion by 2018. That's how you crush doubt and build unshakable success. Not by luck, not by chance, but by a will that bends the universe to your command. You're standing on the edge of your own inferno. Will you leap into the flames of greatness, or let doubt's icy grip drag you into the abyss? Feel that fire spark within you. Jack's story isn't a fairy tale. It's a battle cry echoing in your bones. Your mind is the first battlefield where success is forged, and right now, you're losing the war. You're drowning in excuses. The soul-crushing job that drains your spirit, the bills that pile up like chains around your neck, the failures that scream in your skull, telling you you're not enough, silence them. Your mindset isn't your prison, it's your fortress, and you've let it crumble under the siege of doubt. Jack didn't let rejection define him, he let it fuel him. Every no became a spark, every sneer a flame, until his mind became a blazing furnace, unyielding, unbreakable. You're surrounded by the wreckage of your own fears. Pick up the pieces, forge them into weapons, and reclaim your throne. Rise each morning with a hunger that devours despair, a resolve that melts every obstacle into molten steel. Command your thoughts with the fury of a tempest, turn every scar into a badge of war, and let your mindset be the crucible where your success is born. You're not a victim of your past. You're its conqueror, a warrior destined to storm the heavens. Steel hardens with belief, the unshakable force that turns dreams into empires. Jack believed in the internet when China barely knew it existed. In 1995, at 31, he traveled to the US, seeing the web for the first time, a slow, dial-up connection in Seattle that opened his eyes to a future others couldn't fathom. He returned to Hangzhou, his mind ablaze, telling friends the internet would change the world. They laughed, called him crazy, a dreamer with no tech skills, no money, no connections, just a ridiculous vision. But Jack's belief wasn't a flicker, it was a supernova. That belief drove him to launch China Pages, his first internet venture, in 1995, a directory for Chinese businesses. It failed, losing him 800,000 in investments. But his belief didn't waver. He believed again, gathering 17 friends in his cramped apartment in 1999, pitching Alibaba with a conviction that burned through their doubts. He stood in that tiny room, his voice steady, his eyes blazing, telling them they'd connect small Chinese businesses to the world, even as they sat on borrowed chairs, with no funding, no infrastructure, just a shared dream. That belief turned a startup into a global titan, rivaling giants like Amazon, with a 2014 IPO that raised $25 billion, the largest in history at the time. You're letting doubt poison you right now, wondering if you're enough, if your dreams are too vast, if the world will ever see your worth. Crush that venom. Belief isn't a whisper of hope, it's a thunderclap that shakes the heavens, a certainty that pulls success toward you like a tidal wave. Believe you're a titan, a creator of worlds, a force of nature, and let that conviction roar through your veins, driving you with a momentum no failure can stop. You're not here to doubt, you're here to dominate. Momentum sharpens with clarity, the piercing light that cuts through the haze of distraction. Jack didn't chase 1,000 fleeting ideas. He locked onto one, connecting small Chinese businesses to the global market. In that 1999 meeting, he stood before his friends, his voice cutting through the skepticism, painting a future where small players could compete with giants. He didn't waver, didn't scatter his focus. He zeroed in on a single goal with a precision that burned. That clarity turned Alibaba into a lifeline for millions of entrepreneurs, a platform that empowered the powerless, allowing tiny shops in remote villages to sell to buyers in New York, London, Tokyo. By 2002, Alibaba turned its first profit. Just one. But Jack knew it was a sign of the empire to come. That clarity carried him through years of struggle, through nights where his team worked on nothing but grit, through moments where investors turned their backs, until Alibaba became a cornerstone of global trade, handling more transactions than eBay and Amazon combined by 2016. You're lost in chaos right now, scrolling mindlessly through social media, chasing half-formed dreams, letting the noise of the world pull you apart. Stop the spiral. Define your goal with a precision that sears your soul, a target so vivid you can feel its weight in your hands, taste its triumph on your tongue. Clarity isn't a vague wish, it's your compass, your beacon through the storms of life. Jack knew exactly where he was going. Do you? Set your destination now, and let it guide you like a lighthouse piercing the darkest night. You're not here to wander, you're here to conquer. Lighthouses ignite vision, the blazing horizon that turns ambition into legacy. Jack saw a future where small businesses could thrive globally. He saw Alibaba as a bridge, a marketplace, a revolution, even when the world laughed at his foolish dream. In 1999, Alibaba had no funding, no infrastructure, just a vision that burned like a star in Jack's chest. He saw millions of entrepreneurs rising through his platform, saw China's economy transformed, saw a world where the little guy could win. That vision carried him through the dot-com crash of 2000, when tech startups were dropping like flies, and Alibaba was just a fledgling idea. Investors wouldn't touch him. Silicon Valley VCs called his idea uninvestable, saying China had no market for e-commerce, no internet culture, no future. But Jack saw what they couldn't. He saw a China on the cusp of a digital explosion, a nation of hustlers ready to seize the web. That vision led him to bootstrap Alibaba with 60,000 scraped together from friends, to keep his team working through nights with no pay, to walk into tiny shops in Hangzhou, convincing skeptical merchants to join his platform. That vision turned Alibaba into a 500 billion company by 2017, with 11 million merchants, 600 million users, and a global reach that changed how the world does business. You're drifting in uncertainty right now. Your future a foggy haze, your dreams half-formed. Lift your gaze. See your future ablaze with triumph, every tower you'll build, every dream you'll claim, every life you'll touch, as if it's already yours. Vision isn't a daydream to escape into, it's the blueprint of your rise, the masterpiece you paint with your soul's fire. Visualize it, feel it, live it. Because what you see with unyielding clarity, you'll seize with unstoppable might. You're not here to dream. You're here to build. Might pulses with purpose, the heartbeat that drives every legend. Jack's purpose wasn't just to get rich. It was to empower the powerless, to give small businesses a voice in a world dominated by giants. He often said, Alibaba isn't a company, it's a mission. That purpose fueled him through sleepless nights, through failures, through a 2003 SARS outbreak that nearly killed Alibaba's momentum. In the early 2000s, he'd walk into tiny shops in Hangzhou, sitting with shopkeepers who barely knew how to use a computer, teaching them how to list their products online, not for his own gain, but because he believed in their potential. He saw their dreams, families to feed, children to educate, communities to lift, and he made them his own. That purpose turned Alibaba into more than a business. It became a movement, a lifeline for millions, a force that lifted entire villages from poverty. By 2015, Alibaba's platforms had created 15 million jobs in China alone, giving shopkeepers, farmers, artisans a chance to thrive in a global market. That purpose kept Jack grounded even as his wealth soared. He never forgot the shopkeepers, the dreamers, the underdogs he'd started with. You're searching for meaning right now, waiting for purpose to strike like lightning. Stop waiting. Unearth the fire in your chest, the mission that sets your blood ablaze, the cause you'll fight for when the world tells you to surrender. Purpose isn't a puzzle to solve. It's the inferno that powers your charge, the war cry that echoes with every step you take. Find it, let it consume you, because a life without purpose is a flicker in the wind, while yours is a blaze that will reshape the world. You're not here to exist, you're here to ignite. Blazes demand discipline, the iron will that turns sparks into empires. Jack didn't build Alibaba by dreaming. He worked relentlessly, rising before dawn, strategizing, learning, pushing his team to the edge of what was possible. In the early days, his team lived in his apartment, working 16-hour days, sleeping on the floor, fueled by nothing but shared grit and a relentless drive to succeed. Jack himself would go days without sleep, poring over plans, teaching himself about the internet, refining his vision with a discipline that bordered on obsession. In 2000, when Alibaba was struggling to survive the dot-com crash, Jack kept his team focused. No distractions, no excuses, just work. He'd lead meetings at 2 a.m., brainstorming ways to attract users, to build trust, to keep the platform alive. He once said, "Today is hard. Tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. If you give up tomorrow, you'll never see the sun." That discipline kept Alibaba alive when others failed, turning a scrappy startup into a global powerhouse. You're tempted by comfort right now, the snooze button calling your name, the endless scroll of social media, the easy path that leads nowhere. Shatter it. Rise each morning with a warrior's fury, carve your destiny with every disciplined strike, let it be the spine of your ascent. Discipline isn't a chain to bind you, it's your rebellion against mediocrity, the crown you wear when temptation falls at your feet. Forge it, wield it, because discipline is the bedrock of every empire, and you were born to build one. Bedrock strikes with action, the raw power that builds worlds from rubble. Jack didn't just talk about empowering businesses. He acted, launching Alibaba with 60,000 scraped together from friends, building a platform from scratch, knocking on doors to convince skeptical merchants to join. In 1999, he and his team sat in that tiny apartment coding, calling, hustling, with no guarantee of success. Just a burning need to act, to move, to create. They built the first version of Alibaba's website themselves, a clunky page that barely worked, but it was a start, a spark that lit a fire. Jack would ride his bike through Hangzhou, meeting shopkeepers, showing them how to use the internet, promising them a future where their products could reach the world. That first step in 1999 sparked a revolution. By 2002, Alibaba had 1 million users, by 2005, 5 million, and by 2010, it was facilitating billions in transactions, creating jobs, opportunities, dreams for people who'd never had a chance. Jack's action didn't stop there. He launched Taobao in 2003 to compete with eBay, Alipay in 2004 to solve payment issues, and later Alibaba Cloud, each a bold move that reshaped industries. You're paralyzed by fear right now, failure looming like a shadow, judgment cutting like a blade, the unknown taunting you with its endless what-ifs, breaths. Break free. Charge forward with the rage of a tempest, every step a declaration of your power, every move a brick in your kingdom. Action isn't a hesitant plan you overthink, it's the thunder that shapes your reality, the hammer that forges your world. Strike now, because every moment you delay is a throne surrendered to mediocrity. You're not here to wait, you're here to take. Thunder glows with gratitude, the light that turns scars into strength. Jack often spoke of his failures with gratitude, not bitterness. Those rejections, those exam flops, those early struggles, they taught him resilience, humility, and the value of persistence. In a 2018 speech at the World Economic Forum, he said, "I'm thankful for every no. They made me who I am. If I hadn't failed, I wouldn't have fought." He was grateful for the teacher who told him he'd never amount to anything, for the jobs that turned him away, for the investors who laughed at his pitch. They all became fuel for his fire. He was thankful for his father, a struggling photographer, and his mother, a factory worker, who taught him the value of hard work, even as they struggled to put food on the table. He was grateful for the bike he rode for hours as a teenager, offering free tours to tourists in Hangzhou to practice his English, because it taught him how to connect with the world. That gratitude kept him grounded, even as Alibaba made him a billionaire. You're cursing your battles right now. Poverty that gnaws at your heels, heartbreak that tears at your chest, loss that haunts your nights. Transform them. Every wound, every victory, every breath you take, hold it as a warrior's medal, proof of your survival, proof you're still standing. Gratitude isn't softness. It's the fire that turns your past into fuel, the lens that reveals the gold hidden in your trials. Embrace it, let it burn, because the storms that forged you are the sparks that lift you higher. You're not here to curse your scars. You're here to wear them like a crown. Sparks bend with adaptability, the flow that turns obstacles into victories. When SARS hit China in 2003, Alibaba was on the brink. Offices shut down, sales plummeted. The world ground to a halt. Most companies froze, laying off workers, closing doors. But Jack didn't panic. He pivoted. He moved his team online, kept them working remotely, and used the crisis to build Taobao, a consumer platform to rival eBay. While others saw disaster, Jack saw opportunity. He adapted, turning a near-death blow into a triumph that cemented Alibaba's dominance in China's e-commerce. By 2005, Taobao had 70% of the market, and eBay was forced to retreat from China. A stunning victory for the underdog. Jack's adaptability didn't stop there. In 2004, when banks refused to work with Alibaba due to payment risks, he launched Alipay, a third-party payment system that solved the problem, eventually becoming Ant Group, a fintech giant worth over $300 billion by 2020. The world is shifting beneath you right now. Jobs are vanishing, markets are twisting, life is evolving faster than you can blink. Ride the wave. You're not a statue to crack under pressure. You're a river, carving new paths through unyielding stone. Adaptability isn't compromise. It's your evolution, the skill that keeps you rising when others fall. Flow, grow, bend, because the future kneels to those who adapt, and you were born to lead. You're not here to break. You're here to bend the world to your will. Leadership thrives on resilience, the unbreakable core that turns pain into power. Jack faced rejection after rejection. Harvard turned him down 10 times, investors scoffed at his vision, competitors like eBay tried to crush him, but he stood unbowed. In 2005, eBay dominated China's e-commerce with 85% market share. Alibaba was the underdog, a scrappy startup with no chance. But Jack fought back with Taobao, making it free for sellers while eBay charged fees, outsmarting a giant with sheer grit and ingenuity. He worked 18-hour days, rallying his team, convincing merchants, building trust in a market that didn't trust online shopping. By 2007, eBay fled China, and Taobao reigned supreme, a victory that proved resilience can topple empires. Jack's resilience was tested again in 2011, when Alibaba faced a fraud scandal. Thousands of merchants were scamming buyers, threatening the platform's reputation. Jack didn't flinch. He fired the executives responsible, overhauled the system, and rebuilt trust, even as the company took a $2 billion hit. That resilience kept Alibaba alive, growing it into a $700 billion company by 2020. Life will strike you hard. Betrayal will slice like a dagger. Failure will bruise like a hammer. Despair will claw at your heart. Will you break? No. You'll rise, forged stronger by every blow, a titan crowned by struggle. Resilience isn't just survival, it's your reign, the force that turns scars into scepters. Stand tall, unyielding, because you were born to rule your storms. You're not here to fall, you're here to rise. Reins sharpen with learning, the hunger that keeps your edge deadly. Jack didn't start as a tech genius. He was an English teacher with no coding skills, no business degree, just a relentless hunger to learn. In the 1980s, as a teenager, he'd ride his bike 40 minutes each day to a hotel in Hangzhou, offering free tours to tourists to practice his English, soaking up their stories, their language, their world. In 1995, when he saw the internet for the first time, he taught himself how it worked, reading everything he could, asking questions, failing, trying again. When he launched Alibaba, he learned leadership on the fly, learned how to manage a team, learned how to navigate global markets, even as he stumbled. He studied Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, not to copy them, but to understand their thinking, their strategies, their mistakes. He once said, "If I don't learn, I die." That hunger turned a teacher into a titan, outsmarting Silicon Valley giants like eBay and Amazon. You're resting on old knowledge right now, aren't you? You think you've learned enough. Ignite your thirst. Hunt wisdom like a predator stalks its prey. Every lesson a weapon, every failure a forge. Learning isn't a chore, it's your evolution, the fire that keeps you ahead in a world that never stops moving. Seek it, devour it. Every book, every skill, every experience, every conversation. Because those who stop learning are the first to fall. You're not here to stagnate. You're here to evolve. Evolution burns with purpose revisited. The flame that shatters every chain. Jack's purpose, to empower the powerless, kept him steady through every storm, from SARS to global competition, from eBay to government scrutiny. In 2010, when Alibaba faced backlash over fraud on its platform, Jack doubled down on his mission, rooting out bad actors, rebuilding trust, not for profit, but because he believed in the small businesses that depended on him. He flew to remote villages, meeting merchants who'd built their lives on Alibaba, listening to their stories, promising to protect their dreams. That purpose wasn't just a slogan, it was his North Star, guiding him through every decision, every dark night, every impossible choice. In 2015, when Alibaba launched its rural Taobao program, Jack's purpose came full circle, bringing e-commerce to China's poorest villages, giving farmers and artisans access to global markets, creating 3 million jobs in rural areas by 2018. That purpose kept him fighting, even as Alibaba grew into a global giant. Because Jack never forgot his own roots, the boy who'd been told he'd never succeed. You've found your purpose now, the fire in your chest, the mission that drives you, but the world will test it. Doubt will whisper you're not enough, distractions will pull you away. Hold fast. Let your purpose be the anchor that keeps you steady, the fire that reignites your soul when the nights grow cold, the guide through the darkest storms. Purpose isn't a phase, it's a lifetime, the eternal blaze that defines your destiny. Levitt, because a life without purpose is a ship adrift in a storm, while yours is a vessel of flame. You're not here to drift, you're here to lead with purpose. Flame forges with resilience once more, the strength that withstands every gale. When Alibaba faced government crackdowns in 2020, after Jack criticized China's financial regulators in a speech, the company's stock plummeted, Ant Group's $37 billion IPO was halted, and Jack himself disappeared from public view for months. The world thought he was finished, another billionaire brought low by hubris, but Jack didn't crumble. He stepped back, adapted, and refocused on his foundation, on education, on philanthropy, quietly reinventing himself while the world speculated on his fall. In 2021, he reemerged, dedicating himself to rural education, visiting schools in remote areas, funding programs for teachers, proving resilience isn't just surviving, it's thriving through chaos. Jack's resilience was tested again in 2023, when global economic tensions hit Alibaba hard. US-China trade wars, supply chain disruptions, and regulatory pressures slashed its market value by $300 billion. But Jack didn't break. He restructured Alibaba into 6 independent units, empowering new leaders, adapting to the new reality, ensuring the company's survival. That resilience turned a public fall into a private triumph, proving Jack was more than a billionaire. He was a survivor, a fighter, a titan. You'll face your own storms. Winds will howl, gales will rage. Rise through them. Every setback shapes you. Every scar strengthens you, a warrior carved by struggle. Resilience isn't just endurance. It's your crown, the power that turns trials into triumphs. Rise, because you were born to reign through the fire. Reign demands learning, the hunger that builds your legacy. Because Jack's hunger never faded. In his later years, he studied global education systems, traveled to remote villages to understand their needs, learned how to create sustainable change. Not for fame, but for impact. He launched initiatives like the Rural Teacher Initiative in 2015, funding schools, training educators, ensuring his wealth left a mark beyond commerce. By 2023, his foundation had trained 100,000 rural teachers, impacting 3 million students, giving children in poverty a chance at a future. Jack also studied philanthropy, learning from Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, joining the Giving Pledge in 2019, committing to donate most of his wealth to education and public health. He learned how to build systems, not just companies, systems that would outlive him, that would keep empowering the powerless long after he was gone. You're tempted to stop growing, resist. Let learning be your fire, your tool, the fuel that drives your ascent to history. It's not a task, it's your power. Keep growing, because you were born to lead with wisdom unbowed. You're not here to rest, you're here to rise. Rise with resilience, the force that turns every blow into a victory. Jack's journey, from a rejected kid in Hangzhou to a global icon who reshaped an empire, shows the truth about success. Resilience is a lifetime, not a moment, a legacy, not a trait. Every rejection he faced, every no from jobs, from investors, from the world, became a yes he created, building a legacy that inspires billions. In 2019, when he stepped down as Alibaba's chairman, the world saw a retirement. But Jack saw a new beginning. He turned to philanthropy, but his resilience kept him fighting for education, for the underdog, for the future. In 2024, when China's tech sector faced new regulations, Alibaba adapted again, launching new AI initiatives, expanding into Southeast Asia, proving Jack's vision still guided the company even from afar. You'll face trials, conquer them, rise through them. Every scar builds you, a titan forged in flame. Resilience is your throne. Rise, because you were born to rule your challenges. You're not here to break, you're here to reign. Reign pulses with learning, the edge that keeps your legacy alive. Jack's hunger to learn didn't stop with Alibaba. He studied, adapted, evolved, ensuring his impact spanned generations. In 2020, he launched the Africa Nepreneur Prize, a 10 million fund to support African entrepreneurs, learning about the continent's challenges, its potential, its people. By 2025, the program had funded 500 startups, creating 20,000 jobs, proving Jack's learning wasn't just for himself. It was for the world. He once said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it, and you create it by learning." You're searching for growth. Don't stop. Let learning define you, lift you, crown you, because you were born to fly above the ordinary. You're not here to fade, you're here to soar. Soaring ignites with doubt crushed, success built, because this is how you win. Jack Ma's journey, from a nobody in Hangzhou to a titan who reshaped the world, shows you the path. You've walked his battlefield, felt the sting of rejection, the burn of belief, the focus of clarity, the blaze of vision, the drive of purpose, the steel of discipline, the thunder of action, the glow of gratitude, the flow of adaptability, the rain of resilience, the hunger of learning. You've seen his purpose evolve, his resilience endure, his learning expand, because success isn't a gift, it's a war you wage. You're not a shadow, you're a storm, a force of nature, a creator of worlds. The dawn breaks now, feel it, feel the heat on your skin. The sun rises with fury, and so must you, rise like a colossus. Crush your doubt with a titan's mind, a visionary's belief, a leader's clarity, a creator's vision, a warrior's purpose, a king's discipline, a builder's action, a survivor's gratitude, a river's adaptability, a colossus's resilience, and an eternal hunger for learning. Build your success with every strike, every step, every breath, because you're here to reign, to build, to conquer, to transform. The world isn't ready for the empire you're about to forge, but it has no choice. It must bow. Rise now, claim now, and set the world ablaze with your unstoppable will, because this is how you crush doubt and build unshakable success, and it's yours to seize.